As we get started, thank you everyone for jumping in and joining us tonight. We are going to be going over top 7 steps to launching your women's empowerment program. So most of you know who I am. I'm Andrea Merriman. If you have not already, I did put the link in the chat for you to download the workbook that's here. So what I want to do is we're going to go over this class. So what I want you to do is write down stuff as if you were teaching this class. So part of what we're going to do is you're going to go through each step. I want you to pay attention to things I do, things I don't do, things you know to do from who you are. Everything I do is not perfect, but everything that you do is going to be who you are. So the good part about doing things like this is we can take from each other. Alicia's going to help me watch the chat. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat, write them down. There is going to be a Q&A section at the end as we get started. And so if you have your workbook, I'm going to go through and kind of help you fill in the blanks with that. Also, I want you to take notes so you can know what you want to put together. Hopefully you guys, hey Celeste, hopefully you guys have an idea of what kind of women's empowerment program you want to put together and the impact you want to make. So that's what I want to do. So it's going to be interactive. So the first thing I want to know is how many of you already have a program, either in your mind or on paper or something that you're doing that you want to. If you'll go ahead and put in the chat a Y for yes or N for no, if you already have a program. Do you already have a program that either you have in mind or you already have in place or something you just want to tweak? Or is this all new for you? Go ahead and put a Y in there if you have one or N if you don't. Y if you have one, N if you don't. I see some Y's, I see some N's. I see some Y's, I see some N's. So some of us have an idea of where, at least either have a program or have an idea of where we're going. So good. Those that don't, we're going to walk through this. At the end, we're going to, like I said, take questions. I'm going to tell you kind of how to put that program together and what your next steps are. In this worksheet, some of the stuff I see that I didn't erase, some of the stuff that shouldn't have been there, so just kind of go over it. Just know that that's part of it. Everything ain't always perfect. So we're going to go over why I'm doing this, my why. Start with a dream. If you look at your worksheet on page 2, it actually talks about that. You can fill in those blanks. This is kind of like where your agenda is. Start with a dream. We're going to go over your dreams. We're going to look at what that has to do with your program. We're going to talk about how you can know your audience. We're going to talk about knowing their needs. So not only do you need to know the audience, the kind of people you want to serve, but you need to really know what they're wanting. And then we're going to kind of dissect the length of that program, because people start, they either want to do a 12-week program, then they said, no, let's do a 6-month. And so kind of what's going to be the best thing for the impact that you're trying to get. Then we're going to talk about how to brand it. And then talk about delivery. How will you deliver it? Your delivery method. And what kind of team do you have? If you guys already have a team that you're working with, if you have a VA, if you have a marketing person, if you have somebody else that is already helping you with your business, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat. If you already have a team, if you know that there's somebody there other than you, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't have a team, put a 2 in the chat. 1 if you have a team, 2 if you're just a solopreneur. 1 if you have a team, 2 if you just all on your own. Okay, so we're going to talk about building a team and what that looks like and where to start with building that team too. So as we go through that, that should keep us kind of busy for tonight. So, and then we're going to talk about how to take it to the bank. Take it to the bank, and then we're talking about that shift, what it looks like to get that team and to build the space that you want to go. So I'm excited. Again, glad you're here. Hope you're excited as we go through this. So let's get started. So these are my whys. For, like I said, I think I know all of you. So, you know, I'm a minister of God, I'm a wife, a mother, certified life coach. So before I did any of this, as you can read through here, you know, my background is in HR. So I've been training, doing workshops, building programs, building some type of speaking events, building some kind of class for over 30 years. That's what I do. I've been training cosmetologists, I've been training advocates. So some of the things that I'm going to tell you is going to be from my lived experience, some of the things that I've seen when I worked in retail. I've had to customer service piece of it. I'm going to tell you some of the experience I've had with my health program. So all of those things we're going to go through. So this is why I do these things. As you guys know, that's Jennifer at the bottom. Until 2014, most of the things I was doing, as I said, was cosmetology in the retail business in corporate America, until 2014 when Jennifer was murdered by her brother-in-law. And that kind of let me know what was going on in the domestic violence arena and how our communities are being affected so much. And since then, it seems like it has like moved in like a snowball. It just keeps going and keeps going. So it's definitely women's empowerment and just healthy relationships is so needed right now. So that's kind of where I am, and I'm focused on. When I started, like everybody else, I say everybody else, but for the most of us, we start wanting to help the individuals, wanting to help those that are being affected the most, the victims. And then I started telling my story from a mom's point of view, and how that affects the whole family. And then I realized that I need to continue, because those that are out there serving, you guys that are leaders working with women, because whether you are initiating domestic violence work or not, if you're working with women, you're working with somebody that's been affected by domestic violence. And so it's important that you understand how to deal with that and how to work through that. And so, but what I want you to do today is concentrate on the women that you're working with and how you want to. So if you look at the first part of the worksheet, and for those of you who may not have downloaded, I did put the link to the worksheet in the chat. I don't know if you all can see it, so I'm gonna copy it and put it over there again. If you did not get it, that's the link to the worksheet that you can pull out. The first thing in there, it talks about your name, just put in your name, and these are basic things. And the reason I did these things, because these sheets are for you. But the first reason I wanted you to go in and do that is because every time you go to write something, like I have several things. I have like my little to-do list pad, and I have my journals. Like this is my journal from this event and that I had in October, and you can see I've already filled it up. But I write in something, but I always want to put the date, especially put my name and my date, because if I sit it down somewhere, my intellectual property is mine. And so when I sit it down somewhere, I want to be able to know that if I pick it back up, everybody knows it's mine. I want to keep up with it. I put dates on it. When I take a lot of classes like this, I like to distinguish what's my thought pattern and that person's thought pattern. So that's why I wanted to do this for you, so you can put your name on there. So then I want you to, because it's going to be important, how many books, if you've written books, write that down. How many years have you been in business? If you're just starting your business, put that down. What is your business name? Put that down. These are the things that are going to be, once we get to how we're going to market the business, how we're going to put a price on it, this stuff is going to be important. So you want to always lay your foundation. And then what are the top skills that that don't make sense? Top skills that you're known for or people ask for. What are the top skills that you're known for or people ask for? And then the task, and what task do you put off to the last minute? And so I'm gonna give you a few minutes to go ahead and write that down. So go ahead and write those things down. And then I want you to share in the chat one skill that you're known for and one thing that you always put out to the end because you just dread doing it. I know if you're like me, you probably have more than one thing that you're dreading to do, but hey, we're going to do one thing at a time. What? And there's always something people ask you about. Whether you, whether it's the thing that you think you want to do in your business or not, somebody's always asking you to do something. So top skills, go ahead and put in the chat, you know, put skill, and then what, tell me whether those are the skills that you have that people ask for, or that's something you put off to the last minute. Give you just a few more seconds. Skill grief coach. So going live on social media is the one you put off to the last minute. So with you on that one. Definitely putting that on the last minute list. Definitely. What about the rest of you? Okay. So I want you to keep that in mind. Keep making that list. If you need to go back to that as we go through something else, go back to it. But I want you to keep those things in mind as we go through. So we go to the next sheet on the worksheet. Mentor and encourager, create Facebook ads, skill, coach, and counseling. Yay, look at those skills. So all of that, and I wanted you to look at what people are asking for and what you're putting off first. But I want us to take a moment, because none of this would be worth a hill of beans if we didn't have a dream. And I used to think that everybody dreamed, everybody thought of something, but I found that that's not always true. So when we want to start thinking about, if we don't know exactly what program we want, we know how we want to affect people. So what are 3 words that describe you? In that first piece, 3 words that describe you. Write that down. What are 3 words that you will use to describe yourself? And if you're like me, and this is, part of your first part doing, it don't come easy talking about yourself, but we need to start talking about that, because people are going to connect with you. I know as an introvert, it's hard for me, and I've had to learn to do it, but I know that the more I talk to people, the more I connect with people, the more I have an impact. And so go ahead and put down 3 words that describe you. Then after you do that, 3 words that you want the people who go through your program to feel. 3 words that you want them to feel. So those that you're going through your program, how do you want them to feel at the end of the program? Do you want them to be empowered? Do you want them to be self-sufficient? Do you want them to be happy? Do you want them to feel joy? What do you want at the end of the program? Even if you don't know what that program is, I want you to start thinking about, when someone has been through there, what do you want to, when you see the smile on their face, what do you want them to say to you? I'm so glad that you did this to me. So based all of these on a deep passion, because this dream and these words that you're thinking about, the reason I want you to think of it that way, because it has to be big enough for you to fight for. Because you're going to build this program, you're going to outline this program, you're going to have to get on social media, you're going to have to do the paperwork. All these things that we put to the end, we know we have to do. We know that we're going to have to do those things whether we feel like it or not. I had somebody ask me, talking about being motivated, being inspired and motivated. What are some of those things that keep you doing that? Because there's going to be times where you're not going to feel inspired. You're not going to be motivated. You may be to the most motivated person when it comes to helping other people, but there's going to be times when you're going to be trying to motivate yourself and you're not going to be able to, because you don't think you're making a big enough impact. You didn't journal, so you can't go back and see the things that you did. So it's important that you can visualize this dream. And I want you to think of it as a movement more than just a program. It's something that's making such an impact that is changing the trajectory of whatever problem you're trying to solve. And think about if you've heard me talking about my tea and pearls and talking about the tea and the women's movement, how they started with 5 women, then they had another meeting and 50 people came, and next thing you know, we can vote. Now we're talking about women vice president. And if these women who were doing that fighting back then saw this, it would have been worth it to them, which it was, because they kept moving. But think of the struggles they went to. Letha wants her clients to feel inspired, empowered, and full of hope. So she needs to be able to visualize what that looks like. Those are really awesome words, but what does that look like for them? What will they be able to do if they're inspired and empowered? When you're empowered, how do you walk? How do you feel? How do you jump? What do you do with your day? So I want you to start visualizing that. Whether your dream started because of trauma or and you're giving back, or passion to help someone you know, think about that. And I want us to take a minute, and if you look at those words, how I want to feel, how do you want to feel when your clients feel that way? Empowered, joyful, free. How will that make you feel? I hear people often talk about, it's not about us, it's not about us. No, the helping isn't, but it is about us, because we're still worthy of it ourselves. We don't want to take us out of the equation so much that we find ourselves not being pleased with what we're doing, that we're continuing to put everybody else before us. I have to always talk about, when I talk about empowering and doing our work, is the anthology, which is How I Met Celeste, that we were in, Diary of a People Pleaser. If you read those stories, you'll see how important it is to get past the people pleasing stage and be okay with loving yourself. So as we go to empower other women, we need to make sure we understand what it feels like for us to be empowered, so we can continue to do the work. So as you look over that, continue, what does that dream look like? So I'm gonna stop sharing for just a moment, and I know y'all gonna tell me who wants to turn on their camera or turn on their microphone and tell us what your dream is, what you envision.
I'll be bold. My dream and what I envision is to see that all women and children that are in domestic violence being set free, because it's not fair being in bondage. It's not fun being in bondage, and a lot. So I can't. All I can say is, for me, is my mother didn't know and understand that, because she was in bondage, she was abused, that I was abused, because she couldn't be the mother that she wanted to be. And it trickles down because I chose the wrong man. Then my daughter did at first. So I want everybody to be set free, for, as I say, break the chain. Once that chain is broken and there's no links, it's done.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and that's good. And that's something that not only came from you wanting to give back, but also a passion for something that went with somebody else. So that keeps you motivated, keeps you moving. Anybody else want to share before we go on?
I'll share. What I envision is, I actually want to have like a school or academy or something for women to learn how not to allow the words that they use themselves to entrap them. Because a lot of times how can I say it? And particularly women of faith, I mean, we can quote the Bible, we can quote scripture and what have you, but sometimes the words that we say about ourselves don't align up with the word of God. I want women to see that when you are in alignment with the words and your words matter. And so we need to speak positively about ourselves, so we don't come into the households of worship week in, week out, the same way we went in, if that makes sense.
Sounds good. Anybody else? All right, well, I'm going to keep moving. So continue to look at that and what that dream looks like for you. And then you need to know your audience. I heard Alicia talk about domestic violence victims. Know which victim you want to talk about. Which victim you want to share. Is it all victims? Is it the mother? Is it the children? What age group? How you're going to do that? Know your audience. You hear people talking about all the time about your avatar. And that avatar needs to be everything you need to know about them. Where they shop, what they do, what words they use. And so give them a name. That way, when you're building your program, you're talking to one person. You're wanting to know what that person looks like. So you need to know your target audience. But before you do that, you need to know who you are. I'm often telling people that if you haven't been through the transformation yourself, of getting to a place of harmony, getting to a place to where you feel good about you, whatever you do to empower other people is not going to be as effective. Now, I know oftentimes we can teach stuff from a book, but you're only going to reach a certain amount of people. But when you've been through it yourself and you understand it, you can reach people on a different and deeper understanding. And so you need to do that. I see that someone said that, Sherry said, I'm compassionate, encouraging, independent. I want my clients to feel safe, empowered, to thrive, and free. So we want them to be empowered. We want them to feel safe. And that's what we need to feel ourselves. We need to feel safe, empowered, and free. Free to speak, free to do the things we need to do, bold enough to do the things we need to do to get them to their place. We need to know their past pain. What have they been through? How did they feel? What kind of obstacles were in the way when they were feeling that way? Why didn't they feel better sooner? How long did it take? Go through each one of these steps. And so one of the things that you'll have to do is do some research. And speaking of social media survey, if you guys saw on a lot of you, the reason you saw this, because I put a survey out. Hey, I'm thinking about doing a free training on how to launch a women's empowerment program. Who's interested? Then I had another survey out that says, hey, if you work in a domestic violence field, I'd love to do a survey and have a conversation with you. Do those things before you build that program, but so you yourself know what you want to give them, but now you need to know what do they want. We think oftentimes I hear people talking about when I was in this situation, this is what I wanted, this is what worked for me, this is what I wish I had. And that's all well and good because that gives you a foundation to stand on. But since everybody comes from a different place, because their background was different, their bringing up was different, their spiritual journey has been different, you need to find out the people that you want to serve. What does that look like for them? And what have they tried before? So we look at our worksheet. On our worksheet, it asks you 5 things, and I want you to do 5 things you learned from your pain. You've been through something, whatever that pain point is, whatever that journey of life being, it doesn't have to have been a traumatic experience, but something you've been through, whether it was people thinking that you're weak because you're being nice to them, whether it is people pleasing, whether it is domestic violence, sexual assault, whether you've been trafficked, whether you were abused as a child, whether you just were not a person to speak up for yourself. You've been through something. because you've made it this far. So what are 5 things that you learned from that? Go ahead and take a moment and write those down. And then if you will, go ahead and put in the chat at least one thing that you learned. I want to see what you guys learned from all you've been through. And none of us are spring chickens. So we ought to have something that we learn. I know 5 things may sound like a lot to us because what happens is we so often don't want to think about ourselves. I learned my strength and that I have a voice. Yes. I used to tell my girls when they were growing up, I don't know if you guys remember the Whitney on, what was it, A Different World? She had one of those meltdowns and they had her saying, I'm a voice in this world and I deserve to be heard. When my kids were little, I used to make them say that all the time so they could remember, I'm a voice in this world and I deserve to be heard. But so often it takes us a while to learn that because we want to bring peace. And then in that bringing peace, we don't voice our own opinion. We don't put out our own thought patterns. I learned that the moment I decided what I wanted, I was able to make a plan and make it happen. Yes, visualize and make it happen. Visualize and make it happen. For those of you who just came in, we are working on our worksheet right now. We're doing the 5 things we learned from our pain. As we go through that, what did we learn in our pain? And then just share one of them in the chat. The other thing is, what would have made a difference from what you learned, while you were learning that, what would have made a difference to you that would maybe have made that situation easier or would have gotten you in a different place? I learned my worth. What would have gotten you to that space a little bit quicker? What is something that you learned, we talked about, and what would have gotten that lesson to you quicker had it been in place? Write that down. Learn forgiveness and to let go. And good golly, Miss Molly, that is a big one. When you learn to do that, you just feel so much lighter. It's amazing how heavy forgiveness is. When you're holding a grudge and, when I found when I hold a grudge, I be wanting to be happy, but I don't want to be happy because I got to remember that I'm holding a grudge and that person's in the room and I don't want them to think that I still like them. I mean, all kind of stuff going on in our head when we're not able to forgive and forgive ourselves. And to, as Missy said, be free. Be free from that misery. That and understanding that forgiveness don't mean that I had to go back and let you do it again. It just means I need to release the pain from whatever it is you put me through. Trust God in the process and accept the outcome. Yes, that's a good one. You can't be happy until you forgive and let go, and then you can truly be healed. That's true. So we want to do that. What would have made a difference? Question number 2, what would have made a difference? What would have gotten you to that place faster? And then the third one is, how did you try to fix it yourself? On here it says, know your audience tried before. What have they tried before? So I'm asking you these things so you can know how to go out when you do your surveys for those that you're planning to serve. You want to ask them these questions. So I'm asking you so you can see how that is, how you want to tweak that question when you do your surveys. Better resources would have been good, okay? What kind of resources? Write that down for yourself. Write that on your paper so you can understand it. I would have needed these resources. How did you try to fix it yourself? Did it work? Did it not work? So I want you to really look at how you put trying to fix it myself was why I didn't get out. Right, that one right there. Trying to fix it yourself without asking for help, without doing those things. So you need to understand that. So when you go to talk to your target audience, talk to them about, if you do this yourself, this is the process that'll be. If you reach out and ask for help, there's somebody out here willing to help you. If you reach out and ask for that help, this was what will happen. So go ahead and, by thinking he would change on his own, right? So go ahead and, write these things down. So when you make your survey, you'll know how to word your questions toward the process that you have for people. And so, and I gave you another sheet for that. How will you help the women you serve? To change what's going on in their life? How would you help them? What is the main need that they have? And so what I want you to do is this worksheet you may not be able to do now if you know them, but I want you to write down the pain that you think that the people you want are dealing with, and then the solution you're going to provide in your program. The pain point, the solution you provide. The pain point, the solution you provide. So that's going to help you determine how long this program needs to be too. Sherry says she had to learn to make decisions herself, not hold on because of religion, trying to help him change, but enduring his pain. Yes, owning other people's pain and your pain. That's why women end up sick and tired, because we not only want to take our problem, we want to just go out and get everybody else's too. And so what is the, yes. So we need to know what their needs are. That's why we need to know their pain, come up with a solution. Their pain, come up with a solution. I put places for 5, but for 4. So we want to do the research. We've been talking about that research. That research may come through a survey. It may be a survey. It may be a survey. A survey that you do online. It may be a survey that you can get on the phone. It may be a survey that you do on Zoom. One of the things that's good to do is do it to where you can write everything down, or you can get it transcribed and read. You might want to do some research on social media. Go on social media, look at what they're saying, look at what they're doing, look at how they're doing it. Listen to some of the people, look at people who are doing the same thing you want to do. How are they programmed? How are they structuring it? Not to copy it, but to see what people are used to, what the market is for. And then ask people, you want to interview at least 5 to 10 people and call them, talk to them, like I said, on Zoom, however you can do that. Put them in a group, have a group like this and have conversation around it. My answer is to have a tea. I think everybody should just have a tea party and sit and talk about it. And when you do your research, look at your national and your local statistics. If this is something you're going to be doing online, you definitely want to look at your national, your international, however you wanted to get the word out. And then you want to know what's going on local, because you want to get in touch with your small business centers, your women's groups, your churches, all those places that those women may be looking for help. Then you wanted to look at all of this, and then based on what we just did about your personal experience. So, but don't let your personal experience stunt your growth. So often, and we talk about that in HR a lot, have you ever been somewhere where everybody there kind of just looks alike, dressed alike, have the same personality? That's probably because the hiring manager don't know how to hire anybody but people that's like them. It's easy to do that because they get in, they attract each other. There's like kindred spirits, and oh, this person is going to be good. This person is going to be good. And that stunts the growth of the company because you don't have the different personalities. So think about that as you grow your team. Think about that's why it's important to look at who you are, because you're going to want to have somebody who is different than you also. I remember when I was hiring an assistant, and our store manager was going to be doing the hiring. And I told him, I said, now, you know what kind of person I need, right? He said, what? I said, I need somebody with OCD. He says, Andrea, I can't ask that. That's an actual diagnosis. I said, okay, so what I need somebody who's detail oriented, who wants to clean, because those are things I don't want to do. I hate filing. I don't like cleaning. I want to go out and at that time, go out and work with the customers and do the things that had to do with dealing with the people. I didn't want to do the small menial things. And there were some people that's what they love. They love the paperwork. They love doing those things. So know who you are so you can know what complements you. Misty said her either, she's not very organized at all. And see, the thing is, I like things organized. I just want to get it organized, but I want somebody else to maintain it. So I know that about me. So what I need to do is hire somebody that can take what I put together and say and just make it run. My person that helps me with my events, my assistant with my events, Trina, she's that person. All I say, Trina, this is what I want. We've been together long enough that the first time we fought, I thought I was going to run her away because I was so pitiful trying to tell her what to do. And it's funny because Alicia has cleaning issues, can't do the clutter stuff. So it's funny because I'm sitting here thinking who's on this call. Celeste was at the event in 2019 when I thought I was going to run Trina off because I couldn't let go and do anything. And then Lisa was at this last one where I just let Trina do what she needed to do. So it's interesting as I go through that with myself because I had to grow. As I grow a team, I have to let go. I have to relinquish some of the control that I have, thinking that it's my baby. I have to do it just right. So think about that as you start looking at what your people need. Look at your personal experience, and your lived experience is really invaluable. Really valuable. But you also need to let people tell you about their lived experience. You want to listen more than you talk when you do your research. If you're talking, you're not learning. And I need us to remember that if we're doing all the talking, we're not learning. So think about that as you go and put that together. Because on this piece, we're going to look at this next on worksheet number 5. Users use this to highlight the things that know your needs. So what does success look like for you? What's standing in your way of that success? What have you done to try to solve that problem? We answered that back before. What will happen if you don't take this step? So this just kind of summarizes what we've been talking about. So look at that. And these are some of the questions that you can be asking during your survey, during your research. When you go to talk to the person, your avatar, well, what does success look like for you? When you're feeling empowered, what does that feel like? And what's standing in your way of that? So if you ask them these questions, you're going to have a better understanding of how you can serve them. And if you didn't take that next step, what are your next steps moving forward? So these are the questions you want to answer for yourself, putting yourself in that place of your program, and then being able to say, hey, these are the questions I want to use in my research because this was going to help me understand my avatar anymore. Misty shared, I actually had someone recently who was a survivor. She hasn't yet healed, and I've had some issues with this present. I'm gonna have to regroup and get some things back. Yes. So I'm gonna stop sharing again. And I'll need you to speak up. Do y'all have any questions so far about knowing your avatar and what they want? All right, ladies, everybody can be quiet. You're supposed to be leaders now. So let's have a conversation. What are we looking at? Do you have any questions? Do you have any comments so far? Does this make sense? Is this good information? Tell me what's going on.
Yes, this is Celeste. This information has been very helpful for me because I'm actually in the process of putting a course together. So this will help me like further do my research and have some kind of order and guidance on what to do. This is very helpful.
Well, good. Thank you. Anybody else? Is this good information for y'all?
Miss Sandra, this is Misty. I have got to come up with a program to train the local law enforcement in my area. First of the month. I think this is a wonderful thing that you're doing. And yeah, I'm on board. I need to learn as much as possible. Like I had mentioned, which me and you have a meeting and I'll talk further with you, but
right.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got several things in the works, probably after the first of the year mainly, but to get things back in order for a program that I would love to start. I mean, I keep holding off and saying, I'm not going to do a nonprofit. I'm not going to do this because of limitations, but I'm busy with podcasting. It's like I've got 400 hats. And so I got the Man Up movement that I've got some coaches that are wanting me to be there and do that. And I got to come up with a little bit more of a structure program. So I got to get some structure this coming year. That's why I say when I'm disorganized, I wholeheartedly mean that.
Right.
Yeah. But I love what you're doing, and it's it's kind of surreal in a way because I've never seen myself as a leader, but just in the past few months, I know I'm a leader. And I mean, and I was going to mentor, and I'd actually started mentoring this young lady, and things just kind of went south. And but she is going to get certified, and she's going to do her thing. And I had to put up some boundaries that I was not expecting to have to put up because I've never had to do this before. So, but yeah, I love what you do.
Well, thank you. Anybody else before we keep moving? Because I want you to be, these things that we just went over are the foundation that you need to have before you start putting your outline together, all of that, because you need to know where you're going with that.
Yes.
Sherry, did you have something?
I'm loving it because, like she said, you're giving us the foundational parts. That way we can build on it. And having like how to do a small workshop, setting it up, and then leading into a main program. And that's what I want to do, start with a small workshop to find out about the women, what they need, what they're feeling, and then go into a program like your Jennifer Y. Merriman program, you know, because there's a lot of people, and I'm 65, and there's a lot of people my age range that are still hurting and haven't let go, or still have the anger and the bitterness and things and don't know how to let go.
They don't know how or know it's possible. That's so true. But thank you for that. And you know, and with you, Sherry, because you've already been through the certification class, all you need to do is just grab that and tweak it for the audience that you have. And we can go over that even more too, because instead of you reinventing a whole new wheel, you already have a wheel that's running, that's evidence-based. Exactly. So what you need to do is in those places, like where it talks about, like, for instance, module 2, where it talks about how it affects the family. Talk about their age and how what they're doing now affects the generations under them.
Yes. Yes. And that,
you know, oftentimes we're talking about how it affects the children, and we're talking about the smaller children. But when you're talking about the older women, you're talking about the generational curses that's affecting the family. So that's what we need to put together with you. But this is still that information that you're going to need, so that you can say, okay, here's my survey. This is what they look like for success for women in the age group I want to deal with. This is the program I have. Now let me put these pieces with that.
Exactly. And I thank you, because I'm excited.
So that's what we're going to do. So next, worksheet 6, I'm going to go back, and I want to go over the length of the program. So we've got our foundation. We're going to ask these questions. We're going to ask them what success looks like. What are your pain points? Solution, pain point, solution. So how many of these am I going to do? How long is it going to take me for each pain point to get through that? Like, my program is 16 modules, and it takes that whole week of homework and different things for them to do to get through that one pain point. Some of them we have to take 2 weeks to do. Just kind of depend on the group. And as you heard me tell Sherry, you know, each time that I've taught the program since 2015, and each group that I've had has been a little bit different. We've tweaked it because for the audience in it. So understand that your program doesn't have to be cut in stone, that everybody learns the exact same thing. It needs to be an outline, and it needs to be structured so that you, when you sit out, when someone asks you to come and speak, I heard Missy talk about, I need to have a program to teach law enforcement. Okay, so I'm going to teach local law enforcement something different than I'm going to teach the highway patrol. It's going to be the same set of information, but I'm going to approach it differently. So I need to know what the pain points are for the highway patrolman that's happening to the sheriff department, that's happening to the local PD. So those are 3 different areas that you may have to work with, and they're going to have 3 different sets. Your local PD may have more inner city problems. So they're the ones going knocking on the doors. They're the ones dealing with the DV. They're the ones seeing the women repeat. Your sheriff department may be on your outside of your county. They're the ones that's at the hospital. They're the ones catching them on the back road. They're the ones in the rural areas. So what they're seeing is a little bit different. Highway patrol, they seeing a whole lot different. So just think about that as you think about what you need to do and how long this program needs to be. So one of the things that when you go to do this, when you have to determine how long you want it to be, how are you going to start? So you can do with something like this, a webinar. You've been to webinars. All of y'all have seen thousands of webinars, and a master class, something like this. And then you're going to have your 3 to 5 day challenge. That's been a big thing now. Everybody loves challenges. Matter of fact, I'm in the middle of a challenge. I didn't do my challenge, day 2 challenge, but I'm gonna have to get caught up tomorrow because I worked on this today. Then you have your 4 to 6 week program. Then you have your 6-month program, and then a year. So your webinars, how will you introduce your audience to your program? How will you introduce your audience? The first thing is going to be getting them to an 8-hour training course for the police to start, like a 3-day event spread out to 3 weeks. So, like I said, know what that is. Usually you start with like a master class or webinar to introduce your audience to your program and to you. So they can say, okay, she has this amount of information. She had that amount of information. So what does this do for me? Then you have challenges. How many of you have done a challenge? Wait a minute. How many of you have done more than one challenge this year? Put a 1 in the chat if you have done more than one challenge this year. Because I have seen them on my news feed. I know every month somebody's had something. If you've done more than one challenge this year, put a 1 in the chat. So me and Alicia, the only ones been doing these challenges. Misty, you good, Misty? I don't know how you missed them because you've been busy with that podcast, making it roam. Yep. So, but that's the big thing that everybody's doing 3 to 5 day challenges. This is like a prelude to your program. It should give at least one actionable step that they can walk away with. Go ahead, Celeste.
Yes, I was just getting ready to ask you, could you give me an example of a 3 to 5 day challenge?
Okay.
I just wasn't familiar.
So I have a challenge that I do. It's a 3-day challenge, and it's called Creating Harmony. Actually, it's a 5-day challenge. So what I do is I give you a worksheet. I give you a video, and then we may meet that afternoon and have, a group conversation. We get into a private Facebook group, and I give you something to do. The next day, I release the second video. I give you another worksheet, and you do that for 3 to 5 days. And at the end of that, you'll have, one piece of something. So in mine, you'll have created a way to make better decisions in 1 week. I take a whole week and teach you how to be a better decision maker, how to be more mindful of what you're saying. The one I'm in now is with Nina B. Nina's challenge is social media. I'm making my social media 90-day social media plan. So by the end of this week, I have 90 days of social media planned out.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
But that's a way to introduce people to you. So whatever that program is, you decide you don't want to give them too much, because people don't charge for challenges. That's just what it is. It's just a way to build your list, build your email list, build your following. But you want to take one of those pain points, something that you can solve in 5 days, and put that together.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. So your 4 to 6 week program, now this program should complete a full process, not just one pain point, but a whole process of something. So I may help you, let me look back on my notes and look at some of the words you guys used. Empower you and give you hope and give you a brighter future. So I'm going to teach you to feel better about yourself. I'm going to teach you to walk boldly. I'm going to help you plan for the future, teach you how to journal, teach you how to get organized. All of this so that you're able to live a better life with that one set of problems. With teens, it may be like my ambassador program, teach them healthy relationships. So we talk about social media, we talk about how to act when you see something, but just a whole set of things that you put together. You really don't want your signature program, meaning your big program, to be any less than 4 to 6 weeks. Unless you're dealing with something, and I would still challenge you, Misty, with them 3 weeks. I would push it out that 4th week if it's possible. Just because you can add more to it. And when you start looking at your pricing and what you're putting together with it. So just kind of look at that. Your 6-month program goes deeper into transformation. If you're talking about actually transforming a full habit, or we talked about the healing process, if you're wanting to start a healing process and transform somebody from doing something different and then making them build the momentum to keep that going, you want to do a 6-month program. My program that Sherry went through with my help program to become a certified DV help coach was 6 months, but we crammed a whole lot into that 6 months. I bet every one of them had at least 50 more gray hairs by the end of that 6 months because they worked their butts off. Am I right, Sherry? So, but to do that, you need at least 6 months to put that together. This should include processes and growing a different mindset. If you're changing mindset, if you're transforming, if you are creating something, if you're creating, that needs to be at least 6 months. Then you have your 12-month program. This program should not only bring transformation, but it should also teach a skill. Yes, I'll be doing my certification in 2022. So, but it's now 12 months. Because we did so much in 6 months, and the one thing that I'm noticing is that we need to do more business building. I've put more business building skills into it. I've put more tracking of your financing and getting started into it, and put it into a 12-month program. And so that's going to give me a chance to get more skill set. That's going to give me a chance to make sure that your signature talk is in the space with your signature program. That's going to give me a chance to help people walk through their book signing, if they're doing their books for the first time, and getting somebody to help them with that. So all of that. So you need to think about, once you get all this together and you've done your survey, you've got your pain points, you know your solutions, you need to figure out how long it's going to take that person based on whether you're trying to teach a skill set, change a transformation, then start a healing process, or really build on to something that you need to make sure that they're tracking. Just a whole complete paradigm shift. So you need to think about that. And just FYI, I am going to send you guys a copy of these slides. And so you can have that. So whether you're doing a webinar, whether you're doing a 3 to 5 day challenge, the 4 to 6 week challenge, program, 6-month program, 12-month program. And why ain't you changing all these colors on this thing? So once you get all that together, you're thinking, oh, I know it's work. It really is. The extension sounds awesome. Yes, y'all still needed that. See, I keep hunting y'all down, and I told y'all that I was doing this, adding this month to that. But once we stopped, you guys stopped. So yeah, that's another conversation, Sherry. So now we're gonna have to brand it. We're gonna have to write it. We're gonna have to title it, and we're gonna have to secure it. Write it, title it, secure it. So you'll hear people tell you often that you don't want to write out this whole program until you've got people in it. And I understand that concept, but I have mixed feelings about it. Maybe it's because I did mine first. I did my research, I did my writing. I did my books, everything so that I had it ready. But that's just me. That's how I felt better. So when you're writing this, regardless of what they told you, you're going to take that information from that survey. You've gotten what they think about success, what they need, but you're going to make sure that your core values are in this program also. That's one of the things about my program. As certified health coaches, they understand that part of using this program, they get a rights to it, but the core values that I have, they have. And we've discussed that from the beginning. So you need to understand that as you write it. And it needs to be something unique. It's so you don't want it to look like everybody else's. One of the things that I said about my program, it is the only comprehensive DV program in the country that's of that magnitude. If something has come along, it's come along in the last couple of years because we did extensive research before I put that in my title. That was one for perpetrators, but that was not one for victims. You need to know what you want them to walk away with. You've heard me talking about that. What do they walk away with? How are they feeling? I have one girl that so we started this in May of 2015. She was in the first class. When they come in, they get a notebook. She still carries this notebook around for the last 7 years, and she still uses the paperwork in there to talk to her friends, so that she thinks she's the expert now, which, I say that funny because she said, Miss Andra, she had left, gone to New York, came back 2 or 3 years later, had her big old pocketbook, and she pulls this notebook out. She said, I carry this around everywhere I go because people need to know. And so I was like, awesome. So what are they going to walk away with? Are they going to be able to use what you're giving them? Are they going to want to run out and share it? And then you want to add your images, your artwork, your videos. If any of you went to my masterclass, did y'all go to the website where it had the timer at the top and everything? Who went to that page when you registered? Did y'all just go through the Zoom? Just because I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Y'all are quiet bunch. I always get the quiet people. I'm just fighting with the computer. Don't worry about it. So this is something simple. So there's a couple things. So when you go, I put on there to add your images, you want to be careful how you add your images. Like this right here, my logo, I created that myself. That one's not copyrighted or trademarked because I'm not sure if I'm going to change it or not. But the one that I use for my health program is. The pictures that I use for this right here, Launch Your Women's Empowerment Program, you need to have some good stock photos, or if you use pictures of people, it needs to be from a stock place or it needs to be somebody you know. This is my daughter. So she's like, should I be making some money for this or something? I said, no, I paid for the picture, so get over it. But, put pictures up that go with what you're doing. This was my picture of empowerment. Doesn't she look like she's empowered? And so I just wanted to show that to say, when you add pictures to your program, make sure it's going into who your people are. Make it look like what you're talking about. So make sure that it's gonna make me start all over. So make sure your images and artwork and your videos go with what you're talking about. Add your transitions, your animation, your motions, whatever. If you're going to use a PowerPoint, go ahead and do your PowerPoints as you get ready to teach. That is something that you can do, like right before class. You just need to be ahead of the class. And then you want to save all this stuff. And I put it on here. You want to save it on your OneDrive, your Google Drive, your external drive to get your presentations from your computer, tablet, or phone. You never know when when your technology is going to go bad. I save everything on like 2 or 3 different jump drives in my computer because God knows if something happens, like my computer, I'm on a new computer now because my old computer is like super old. I got it in 2011. I've gotten every penny of it that I want to earn, but it's gotten bad. It's overheating and it keeps cutting off. So I cut it off and bought another computer because I need to back up everything again on my hard drive that I have. So I just want you to understand that you need to save, and not in one place. Put it in the cloud, put it on whatever you need to do, because this is your intellectual property. And as it's been downloaded to you, oftentimes it's been downloaded in a structure that's really awesome. I say that God downloads to me at 3 o'clock in the morning. On time at 3 o'clock in the morning, I can create the world. Letha and I talked about that before. So I want you to just be diligent with how you save stuff. When you start creating your program, I don't know if you're one of those that do, keep a notebook and pen or pencil by your bedside. Wake up, you're going to have dreams about it. You're going to hear it. It's going to come to you when you're clear. Write it down. And then when you get up, you're able to go back through it and do more with it. But I want you to understand that it's going to come at odd times. When you're driving, use the voice part on your phone. When you really get into creating this program, it's going to come to you at the oddest times. Look at your title. How are you going to title it? 3 words that describe it. We talked about some 3 words of how you wanted them to feel. Do you need to put that in there? My coach that I have now, when we did launching women's empowerment program, I wouldn't have thought of that, because I never think of me teaching other people to do that, but that's really what I'm doing with my program. And you know, we got to think about, we tossed it around. We had a sheet of paper. She came up with something. I came up with a word. Then I did my surveys, all those things to come up with the title for this masterclass. Use the words your avatar is using, the people that you're serving, the people that you want to reach. What words are they using? And then your desired results. So you want the title to say what you want them to feel in a language that they understand, that's going to give them the results that they want. So when you think of your title, think of it that way. And then I want you to secure it. There's people out there that'll tell you that they do their own copyright, they send in their stuff. That's well and good. If that's you, that's you. Me, I have a copyright and trademark attorney. I don't have time. I'd rather pay her that amount of money and to make sure it's done right. And it's come in handy many a times. Ask the question, and I know this is off topic, but if someone says to you to delegate your podcast, or rather you need to delegate your time on your podcast, that's up to you. I mean, delegating things on your podcast will give you time enough to do more things. See, I want you, I'll stop and I'll give you this. Let me finish this. And then this will be the last part of this section. And it's talking about your copyright, your trademark, and your contracts. Do not do all the stuff we talked about before and not do these three things. It will never fail that somebody will try to take whatever you did. It's your intellectual property. Remember, we talked about your time in service, your personal experience, your what you've been through, your degrees you have. All of that is yours. You put that on that paper. And you want to copyright it. If you grow something, you know, I mean, your trademark, you want to have it. And I need you to hear this right here. Never, ever, ever, ever enter into any type of coaching, speaking, event, what's that little table? Put a table somewhere without a contract. Never, ever. It's happening too much. We're calling ourselves business leaders. We're calling ourselves CEOs and executive directors, but we're not handling our ish. We're not handling, we want to continue to be, as Trevor Otts always says, CEO should not mean CE only. When you're the only person in your business, you will not get as far as you will if you have a team of people. And we're going to talk about team a little bit later. But I need you to understand that you need a contract with everything. If you're not hiring people as employees, you need a contract for what they do for you. If you have somebody doing your social media with me, they have access to your account. If you don't have a contract and a NBA, a non-disclosure program, non-disclosure agreement with them, you're setting yourself up for failure. I give an example. When I created the Jennifer Y. Merriman Health Program, I was a volunteer at our local shelter. I ended up working for them, so I ran the program through them, which was advantageous for me because I was able to run it through, tweak it, and do the things I needed to do. when I was no longer working there, they couldn't use it anymore. Cease and desist. My program, my copyright, my trademark. I was able to tell them they couldn't use it anymore. So if you don't do that, if you don't protect your property, then you're setting yourself up for failure. And as far as contracts, and Misty, you talk about your podcast, I don't know whether you have contracts with the people come on your podcast or not, but the way your podcast is growing, people are going in and getting reruns and different things. Somebody's going to come up and say, hey, you've grown and you've got notoriety and you've built your influence on me. What do I get out of it? And so with everything you do, if you can get somebody, if you can train somebody, or somebody can go in and, put your podcast together after you've interviewed the people, that's business. That's what CEOs do. That's what business people do. So I want you to start thinking about that as you build this program, thinking about more mindset of a business owner. Remember, this is just one of my favorite sayings. I've learned that people may forget what you said, they may forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And I want you to remember that as you write this program. As you go out and whether you write a program, whether you take a program and tweak it to where you need it for your business, I need you to understand that what you're making people feel is what they're going to remember. So here's the deal. We have run behind because we was late. I was waiting on people to have another section of talking about delivery. Do y'all want to go on? Do y'all want to come back tomorrow and go over the second half? What do you look like for time? We've probably got at least another 30 minutes. Y'all tell me. I'm gonna stop sharing while y'all tell me. I'm gonna pause. So once you have all that together, and we're going into how you're going to deliver this, meaning what kind of platforms are you going to use? What's going to be your method and what's your platform? So are you going to have books? Are you going to have workbooks? Are you going to have ebooks? What kind of handouts? Is there going to be a handout for each week, or are you going to send it all out in one? Like for my program, they have a notebook that I sent them, but then each time that we meet each week for those 6 months, I gave them handouts. Are there going to be PDF downloads? Or put it on the jump drive? That's something you can do depending on how you're going to do it. Like with my program, because it's a certification and a licensure program, they get all of this. And then once they turn in all their homework, turn in all their videos and stuff, and they get their certificate, my next thought is there's a website that they can go in and download stuff. But I'm thinking about just putting everything on Jump Drive and sending it too. So you have to decide how you want to do that. Or put everything in the Dropbox, Google Drive. I use pCloud. That's what you guys downloaded that from. I like it better. It's more organized on my end than the Dropbox and Google Drive when I go looking for stuff. And then your platform. Are you going to be live? Are you going to pre-record? Are you going to do all your videos and then just put it in a DIY where people can do it on their own? What I do is we do live, and then I upload it into the platform that I use. Sometimes there's people, if you pre-record it and they can go in and learn it on their own, then you can set up with the right platform to where they can't get into it until they finish one section. So sometimes it's a weekly drip, sometimes it's a monthly drip. You may give them a whole month at a time. So you have to decide what works for you and what's the best way for them to learn. Will they be on Facebook? A low key, if you don't have money to buy all these fancy programs, do a Facebook group. Facebook now has paid Facebook groups. I know you hear everybody talking about you need to get off Facebook because Facebook XYZ, people don't like Facebook. But right now, that's an option. There's Udemy, there's Teachable, there's Kajabi, and each one of them has a different price point. You have to determine what your budget is and what works best for the program that you're doing. Then you want to talk about building your team. First, does anybody have any questions about platforms and delivery methods? I didn't see anything in the chat, but if you do, just raise your hand or let me know. Then you want to talk about building your team. Everybody needs a team. You cannot do it alone. You can say you can't afford it, but then you need to go out and see how you can. Sometimes you have to barter. Sometimes you have to find somebody low key, depending on your business. If your business is in order, your business license and stuff is in order, talk to your community colleges, talk to your colleges in the area and get an intern. There's a lot of unpaid interns out there that can help you too. Because of COVID and stuff, there's even virtual assistants out there in the business industry that can help you with that. So you're the creator. You're going to need some more coaches and support staff. You're going to have somebody doing your social media. Even if you're the social media expert, unless that's your business, you need to find somebody. That's one of those things you do want to find somebody like you that's doing your social media. You want a virtual assistant and or personal assistant. I have, like I said, Trina, my personal assistant. Trina takes care. Trina's so awesome. Like, she's coming this week to help me reorganize my office. I'm getting a virtual assistant. That is definitely on my 2022. Me and Alicia working out some things now. So, oh, by the way, if you need a virtual assistant, you got Alicia. But definitely write down what you need in your team. And that's why you want to know the things that you put off. The first thing you want to do is the things that you put off until the end. That's the first team member you want to buy. I say buy, pay, volunteer. That's the team member you want to go looking for. That's why it was important to do those first things. See how that foundational piece comes in. These are things that I love to do. So I'm going to do these because this is what my business is going to be based about. These are the things that I don't like to do in my business. I know how to do. Everything in your business you should know how to do, but you also should be, now while there's only you, when you go to do your social media, you should be making a list of how you do that social media. So when you go to hire somebody, their job description is already just practically made. And you should already have what your business structure is going to look like. I have what mine looks like now in a 5-year plan. These are the positions in the next 5 years I want to put into my business. I did that for my nonprofit and my LLC. So you want to think like that. I have my job descriptions already done, my handbook. I got an employee handbook and I ain't got no employees. But I'm ready. You know, saying, well, if you're going to if you already ready, you ain't got to get ready. So I want you to start thinking about that as you start looking at your team, because so many of us are in a place that we're saying, I don't need a team yet. I don't have no money. I don't know how to pay them. But you need to start looking at what you want, because that's part of that vision. That's part of what success looks like. Success for me looks like me not having to do a whole lot of stuff. Success for me means that I don't even have to look at social media other than to answer personal text stuff that comes through. Success for me, meaning that I'm able to pay, because one of the things that during my program is I bring in other coaches, other experts to talk to you about food and building your business and building your signature talk, those type things. I bring in people like that. So those are other support staff and coaches that I know that I'm going to need on staff or be able to contract with. So think about that, write out what that looks like for you, and start with that one thing that you do last. Now, here comes the part that makes everybody sit down, go to sleep, stand up, get upset. We got to take it to the bank. We got to know, how much do I charge, Miss Andrea? I know when I started coaching, that was the big thing I was afraid to do, is to put a monetary value on my work. One of the reasons was because what I do, the organizing, the creating stuff like this, I can do in my sleep, literally. It comes easy to me. When people talk to me about their problems or things that they're trying to do, I can already vision the steps to get there. So to me, I didn't understand that that was a gift that God had given me, and everybody wasn't capable of doing that. So I had a hard time charging for it. That's why I made this paper so you guys could go through and look at who you are and the expertise that you have. All of it you don't want to continue to do, right? Because you're a CEO, but you need to understand the importance of the intellectual property in your mind. So let's look at your signature program, whether you decide it's going to be 4 to 6 weeks, 6 months, or a year. I want you to just look at what time it took to create. And I just threw some numbers in here. Let's say it took 80 hours and to create your program. So that's 2 full weeks, 2 full-time job weeks to create that. So what you're going to do is you're going to take those hours, but how much you're worth for that, how much you can get paid for that hour. Right now, when I teach, when I do support groups for communities and agencies that I work for, between $250 and $500 an hour is what they're paying me. So I can take that 80, and at least I think we rounded up this last contract I had over to something. So for 8 hours, $2,000 for us speaking, or 5,000 people speaking fees. Look at that and just divide that by hour, whatever your speaking fee is. Then the time it takes to execute, meaning if it's a 12-month program and you're going to meet 2 hours every week, that's 52 weeks. Times, add all that up, 420 hours, because not only that, you created it, now you've got to get ready. Okay, you've got to get ready before each class. So if you're meeting every week, it's going to take you at least 3 to 5 hours during that week to prepare for that next class. So you need to count those hours. That's your time. Then you want to look at your tangible products. That may be your books that you send them, the boxes that your books go in, ink pens, whatever you're giving them to go along with the program, even if it's your gifts. So then you want to go in and look at the miscellaneous stuff. What's in miscellaneous? And you're probably looking at, Andre, where did you get that figure from? Let me get out my paper, because I was adding up. I thought I wrote it down. I just had out and I was looking at my old stuff. So I had coaching. So I always believe if you're a coach, you need a coach. So I took part of my coaching that I do on a yearly basis, which is about $5,000. That's just partial of it. The platforms that I use. So I determined what platform I'm going to use. It's going to cost me at least $150 a year. So my program's a year long. The electricity in my house, the advertising I'm going to do, the materials, the handouts, the mailings, those type things that I'm going to do, the labor, the other coaches that are coming in, how much am I going to pay them? If I'm going to pay them $45 or $50 or $500, however much they're going to charge to teach that 2-hour program. Web hosting, you've got to host the website if you have a website. Your attorneys, your contracts, your copyright, your trademark information. If it's just particularly for that program, then you need to factor that into your costs. So many times we don't want to do that because we think that we can put it at a price that people are like, and more people will come, but then we end up lost. Then you got to talk about your years of experience, your education. So all this needs to go into your pricing. So you take that. Then you want to look at your one-on-one coaching. How much time is that? How much time is it going to take to execute? Look at the price of that. Look at your bonuses. Are you giving out any bonuses? Are you including that in the price? Excuse me, hold on just a second. Any bonuses that you're going to give, how many hours is it going to take you to execute those bonuses? What does that look like? How much time is it? How much material is involved with that? These are just numbers I put in. These are some, I just not full on my prices, but this kind of gives you an idea of what you need to do when you go out. Then you've got to determine how many people can you handle in this program per year. What do you, when you go and plan for your year, how much money do I want to make during that year? How many people can I take? You've heard coaches say, hey, one-on-one coaching, I'm only doing 7 a year. That's the best I can do. I'm only doing 5 a year. And then they put their prices at that point, because if they did more than that, they wouldn't have time. One-on-one coaching is a whole lot if you're doing the whole program. So you need to take that into consideration. Does anybody have any questions about pricing? Put in the chat if you still don't feel comfortable charging for your program or for what you do. Put a 1 in the chat if you do not feel comfortable charging. And put a 2 in the chat if going over how to add these prices to that, these numbers make you feel a little more comfortable. Put a 2 if going over this makes you feel a little better of how you can put this together. So a couple of you, good, yay! I get excited when y'all get what I'm saying. I just want you to be more comfortable with this. Misty, you don't have any more building to do before you can charge for your services. The only building you have to do is your understanding that the in the space that you have built that podcast and your reach, you don't have to look anywhere else to charge, because your influence is there. And so just understand the right going through costs. So just understand that it's there. Just look at it. Look at what that price is. Look at your hourly charge. So understand that somebody told me, one of my coaches, my transformational coach I had, she told me that I had, how did she put it? Kind of like Alicia said, my pain, it's time for my pain to pay me. So think about that as you go through this. So the way you get started is to quit talking and being and start doing. Just begin doing. That's what you want to start doing. So I'm going to skip this because we've been asking questions all through. So it's time to lead the shift. It's time for you to shift. It's time for you to just roll around, create the program yourself. That's what you can do. You know, you want to serve people. You want to have an empowerment program. These are the ways that you can do this. Okay. I'm going to tell you how. You got some choices to make. As you look at the worksheet number 11 and 12, and I'm going to go through these a little quicker. It's time for you to lead, because you can create the program yourself. I've given you the foundation. I haven't walked you through each piece of it, but I've given you the foundation where you can go out, start your survey, kind of figure out where you want. You can hire somebody to create the program for you. There's people out there that actually will put the hope, you give them your ideas, they'll put it in structure for you, load it up for you. There's somebody that can do that. Or you can find a program that you can adopt into your mission. So that's why it's important to know your mission, your core values. So you can look out there and say, hey, this is something I want to do. How can I add this to it? Or you can do nothing. You can take this information I've given you, said, hey, thank you. I appreciate it, but I don't think I can do this. This just sounds like too much like work. So you have to make that decision. If you're ready to lead, you need to look at what your old story is. Your old story is, okay, I need to do a program. I'm going to do a program, however that is, and what your new story is going to look like. So you have some decisions to make. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about my program. I'm going to give you, and I want you to follow through this on how you're going to promote your program. You can listen to what I have to say about mine, but I want you to think about, once you build yours, these are the things you want to do. You want to find a place that goes in there, because I'm going to give you a special invitation just for being here, just for working on what you're doing, and kind of give you an idea of what it means to join a winning team. Because what I have right now, as I've created, so if you can see the poster behind me, it's kind of flipped around. My job, my vision is 5 years, 50 states, and 5,000 people. So I know for me to do that, I've got to bring people with me. I have to have a team. I will be pulled apart trying to reach 5,000 people myself over the next few years. So that's why I decided I need to build a team. So as I talked to you before, my program is the Jennifer Y. Merriman HELP program. HELP stands for Hope, Empowerment, Life Skills, and Prevention Methods. It is registered trademark. It's a complete holistic program that goes through what is domestic violence, how to cope with it, how to recognize the flags, surveys, food, nutrition, how to help them find a job, how to build your business, how to write your signature program, Like I said, we were doing all this in 6 months. We're now doing it in 12 months because now I see that I need to help you build once you get that certification, and we're adding that to it. So it meets funding needs of grants. I already know I spoke with the state. So if you're getting grant funds, this is a program that can be funded. You can use it to be funded in United Way. Network with advocates across the country. And you know, think about it. If you're in that state and we're building ambassadors in each state, you have somebody in there that knows that. Positive path to profits, because it is evidence-based. We now have served enough people to where that it's been, we have proof that it works, and you're going to get continued support. So you're probably wondering, do I need to do this? What's this work for you? Yes, it will. It's like I talked to Sherry about it. So as we do Sherry's monthly coaching program, monthly coaching call, we can go into how this is going to work with her nonprofit as she reaches the grade level, age level of those that she served. So I'll tell you that absolutely, yes, it's going to work. If you're serving domestic violence victims, if you are looking at those at risk and or survivors, this will work for you. So you just got to be able to work the program. And so as we move forward, you're probably got a whole lot in your head right now. And you're thinking, which avenue should I take? Should I get somebody to do this? Should I do that? So that's a decision, again, you have to make. So, but there is an investment. The investment is there. As I said before, there's a whole lot that went into that investment. You can build your program and you can kind of do money under the table. Hey, can I give you this a little bit and you can give me that? It's kind of like when I used to do hair. One of our pet peeves was people was always telling us to come and, you know, be that kitchen beautician. Although I done worked hard, you know, my scissors cost me $250, but yet you want me to come cut your hair for free. I mean, even if I didn't do nothing but have to go and get my shears sharpened every year, that was a fee to those $250 shears, and that was on sale. Not to mention the combs and the clippers and all that stuff. So, but people don't understand that, so they always want you to do something under the table. But when you're talking business, you need to understand yourself that and I'm saying these things so that you can build a persona yourself as you build this program and put your blood, sweat, and tears in it, that it's okay to have people invest in you because you've earned it. Or you can sit there and you can try to just stack up your pennies because you don't want to help people. So many times when the thing about the service industry, especially as coaches and servant leaders, we want to help so many people, but we continue to cast our pearls before swines. People that don't understand the value, people who don't want to pay the value. We all know that a pearl was built out of an irritant, the pain that it went through, that oyster had a pain spot come in, and to protect itself, it had to put the nacre around that irritant that's in there, and that irritant is still inside that pearl. So I want you to understand that when you build your program, the pain you went through to get to that is still inside of you, but you're going to spin something, that program, you're going to build something that's beautiful and illuminate like a pearl. So the certified domestic violence help coach, like I said, the pillars are hope, empowerment, life skills, and prevention. And so we teach each person how to do that. Thank you, Sherry. Sherry said this was an awesome experience for her. It opened her eyes to how she can truly serve. So we teach each participant how to facilitate to those that they serve hope, empowerment, life skills, and prevention. But what I have understand and what I've learned is, as a coach, that wasn't enough. Okay. You needed to have more. So what I created was a whole system. So we go from creating a harmony with inside you, helping you continue your healing process, and then teaching you those 4 pillars, and then giving you some more training, some more self-development, some more skills, and then just adding the full palette to that. And so on top of that, I've added the Alicia's excited. So I've added to that an advocate intensive. So this is a $750 value. All of my certified health coaches, as you can see, the symbol for them, they get to put this symbol on things that they do. This is their symbol. They can put on their email at the bottom. They can put it on their website once they've become certified. So everybody can know that they're certified health coaches. But with an advocate intensive, what we do is we do a personality testing and we do a DV testing that tells you what your niche is. Because so often advocates come in and they want to be an advocate for everyone. They want to go to the hospital, they want to go to the courtroom, they want to sit down and talk to them, they want to be the counselor, and they get boggled down because they forget the vicarious trauma is a booger. And when you're constantly doing all of this, you're not. So when you're serving from the kettle, when you're putting people in place, when you're knowing what your niche is, then you can serve in a better capacity. As we talked about, Misty has her podcast. Sherry knows that she wants to work with people more her age. Those are their niches. Those are things that they're doing. So they don't have to go out and be everything. My job, my main focus, although I do have my nonprofit where we service participants, but in my business, my main focus is to serve leaders. So when I get a lot of people call me, oftentimes I give them to somebody else, or I make a referral out other than the ones that are doing my program. So we go through this so that you know where you stand and how you learn best. So everybody knows how their best learning place is. I know whether you're a visual learner, how you learn, where your strong points are before we start the program. Then when you get there, you're going to get bundles. These are the books. These are the published books. This one here with the white, this is what each participant get. Each participant gets a playbook, a journal, and a financial journal. The purple one is for leaders. They get a journal, and then they also get a planner that goes with theirs. So these are the books that I've published that go with it. The Harmony series, you can actually buy those on your own on Amazon or on my website, but they are added as part of, and the participants, they go through my nonprofit, do not pay, but that's because I get the funding from agencies and places to do that. And so fast action bonus, if you're somebody who knows that this is what you want to do, instead of creating your own, you want to take the program and you want to tweak it to what you're doing. This is for you. If you are registered before December 31st and do your down payment, then you get some extra bonuses, which is one, you're going to get 2 extra VIP coaching sessions included in that we just really streamline not only what you're doing, but how this program will work for you, which we'll go over during the year, but this is just really right now, how to get you some residual income coming in while you go through the program. I'm going to throw in last year's Black Friday program I did. It's a 6 weeks program, step out of your comfort zone so you can ditch the status quo and let your energy flow. Workshop that I did, I'm going to throw that in for you DIY. And so this is what you get. You get licensed to facilitate the program. What does license mean? Meaning this is a whole business in its own. If you didn't already have one that you're doing, you can take this and run a business. So you will be licensed to use the program and the copyright and the trademarks that I've already paid for. You'll get a certificate of completion, which is like a little, and then a diploma thing is really cute. You'll get a dedicated training portal. So we have our own school portal. You'll get a private Facebook group that's just for coaches. You get access to lifestyle coaches. As I said, I have people coming in. And you're going to get your bundle of books, your program playbook, your journal, your harmony planner, and your financial planner, the extra coaching sessions, step out of your comfort zone. One of the things about being a coach is that part of the contract says you have to come to the 3-day healing weekend I have. It's been a retreat for last year. Next year is September the 9th through the 11th. And you get 50% off of that, which is the retreat is going to be $800. So half off of that is $400. So you'll get that. And then you'll get a bundle of books for the participants. So you'll have your first set of books with that. And then, of course, you get a network of warriors ready to help you with your business. So all of this is what we have. How many of you think that that sounds really good? Like that's a good offer. If you think that's a good offer, put a 3 in the chat, a 3 in the chat if you think that this is a good offer. Even though you don't even know what the price is, but you think this is the good program. Yay! So what you have is over $27,000 worth of products and services. And as I said before, you can go the hard way. You can go create all that yourself. You can put all the information in there. You can go for 7 years and get research and rebundle and we'll do all that yourself for the next 7 years like I have with this. Or you can do it the easy way. You can join our team and we'll be all excited because we want to have you and we like rowing. So join the team of certified coaches, become a Pearl, be able to do it for an investment of $10,500. So $10,500 is for the whole 12 months. If you pay in full, it's $8,500. So I take $2,000 off if you're paying full. If that's something you're interested in, you can go to dvhelpcoach.com. And that's if you're paying in full, then you have to let me know because I did not put that, have time to put that on the website. But we can go through that. But if you go to DV Help Coach, it'll take you to one of the training sites. And all you have to do is put down $500. That'll seal you into getting the bonuses. And that's where we are. Remember what you'll be getting. You'll be getting the license to facilitate this program. You will have each year, there is a maintenance fee for that because of the training, the DV training and stuff you'll get with that. You get the certificate, you'll get the bundle of books, you'll get 2 extra coaching sessions, step out of your comfort zone. We'll see you at the retreat and some participant bundles, and you'll have us forever. You can hang out with me and Sherry forever. So $10,500 for the year. So I thank each of you. Do you have, I can answer any questions if you have any other questions. All right, Misty. Does anybody have any questions about anything? I'm actually going to stop the recording here.